everyone. Welcome back. Depending on your time zone, I don't know if you went out and got a drink, breakfast, or lunch. I don't know where we are in the world right now. But I want to welcome you back to VRM Intel Live Online. We're here with Amber Carpenter, who I have known personally for a very long time, since we worked at Instant Software together when she worked with them on her travel storm company. So it's been a while. She has since moved from the Panhandle to Oregon and gotten married and inherited a pretty large quarantine club that she's hosting at her house right now with all of the children. So Amber, I am going to turn this over to you. I will be on here watching for questions. So if you have questions, you can either continue to text me or you can type them in this question. Thank you for doing this, Amber. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Amy. Thank you for having me. And as Amy said, if any of the 5 children just pop behind me and ask for orange juice, I apologize, or lunch. They have like 16 meals a day on a regular basis. We do pre-lunch, lunch, post-lunch, pre-dinner. You know, I'm sure a lot of really appreciate it. And I hope you guys enjoy this today. I really want to make it conversational. Please ask tons of questions. Tell me some of the challenges that you're having. I wanted to make this super useful. So it's not rocket science today. This is all about getting inspired about things you can do right now. And so we're going to watch a quick video clip. I'm bringing out the inspiration for all of us today.
45 hours. That brings them to about there.
If you guys remember,
gentlemen, that's not acceptable.
From the late 90s here. It was very fitting for our situation.
Power is everything. Without it, they don't talk to us. They don't correct their trajectory. They don't turn the heat shield around. We got to turn everything off. Now, they're not going to make it to re-entry. What do you mean everything? With everything on, the LEM draws 60 amps. At that rate, in 16 hours, the batteries are dead, not 45. And so's the crew. We got to get them down to 12 amps. How many? You can't run a vacuum cleaner on 12 amps, John. We have to turn off the radars, cabin heater, instrument displays, the guidance computer, the whole smack.
Whoa, guidance computer. What if they need to do another burn? Gene, they won't even know which way they're pointing.
The more time we talk down here, the more juice they waste up there. I've been looking at the data for the past hour. That's the deal? That's the deal. Okay, John. And then we finish the burn, we'll power down the line. All right. Now, in the meantime, we're going to have a frozen command module up there. In a couple days, we're going to have to power it up, use nothing but the re-entry batteries. We've been tried before. No, we've never even simulated it before, Gene. Well, we're going to have to figure it out. I want people in our simulators working re-entry scenarios. I want you guys to find every engineer who designed every switch, every circuit, every transistor, and every light bulb that's up there. Then I want you to talk to the guy in the assembly line who actually built the thing. Find out how to squeeze every amp out of both of these goddamn machines. I want this marked all the way back to Earth with time to spare. We never lost an American in space. We're sure as hell not going to lose one on my watch. Failure is not an option.
All right, so that was my inspiration here, that failure is not an option. And I know that we're all running on 12 amps and we're figuring out what to do with what, what revenue we do have left, what revenue we have no idea is coming in, or what's going to happen to it. And so, these are some things I think we can all be doing right now that are super valuable. So testing your website, I feel like a broken record. Whenever I get up and I speak, I talk about this quite a bit. But this is a great time to be working on projects. Like, this is an opportunity. It's not just a tragedy. Like, use this time that's so valuable to really do these projects that we all kind of have to do when we're so busy. I can't emphasize more. Communicate, communicate, communicate. So many brands are going silent because you're frozen or not even sure what to say to people. We know that all the local municipalities keep moving the dates that we can or cannot do business, and so it's really hard. We're going to talk about using these 12 amps super carefully and where, what things should we turn on and in what order to make sure we can all get back to our jobs with what little that we have. and talking about a loyalty program and what that means today. So testing your website, and I'm going to try not to go too quickly, Amy, so just stop me if any questions come in or anything. But these are some things that are free. None of the things I'm going to suggest today are things that you have to pay for. And so you probably don't know, but there's this mobile-friendly test that you can do to your website, and it's made by Google. And so you can go on here, and I'll just pick on the big guy. We can go in here and we can say, test my website. And guys, mobile is everything. I'm sorry, but I've had so many conversations lately that start with, I know my mobile website is not that good, but this is not the time to not have your mobile website optimized. For those of you that are still paying your monthly contracts with your hosting companies, this is a great way to hold them accountable. You don't need to know and understand the output of some of these tests that we're going to review together today. You just need to be able to run them, and you're going to get, look, so they got a good grade here, but you can open these up and you're going to see all of the different information. If they had issues, like you see here, you can actually just send these 4 issues. You don't need to understand what this is. You can just send this, copy and paste this over to your web company. And when they say it's fixed, you come back in here and you run it again. And then it should not have any of these errors show up if they really fixed it. That's a way to hold your web company accountable without you having to be super technical. Mobile is, especially with people working from home, internet's going in and out, it's a huge percentage, and it's going to continue to be a huge percentage. For most of you, it's probably more than 70% of your web traffic is mobile. And Google has been very open about the fact that if your website does not perform well on mobile, it's going to rank lower. So this is something super valuable, super easy. You saw this took like a minute and a half for us to run, and then another minute and a half to send that email out. This is the Google page speed test. So we'll run something similar, same thing. Instead of it just being about mobile friendly, we want to know how quickly do the pages load. For those of you who saw me at some of the other VRM Intel Live shows, you'll know that this is both the mobile friendly test and the page speed test is super important. For when you get to, and we'll talk about it, Google Travel, you can actually pay more per click. And you'll see, as far as mobile goes, they get an F. They had a score of 7 out of 100. And so again, you're going to get all of these details that you can just export all these issues over to your web company. You want to be in the 90 range. You want to get over here to green. And then you can see what your desktop is. It probably performs much better. So even the big guys who spend probably millions of dollars on their websites are not doing as well as they should. So you're not alone if your website doesn't perform really well. The other thing that you should know is to perform really well, to get these grades, it's just like regular school. The bar is constantly moving from Google and the other browsers. And so your web company probably didn't do anything wrong. It's just time to update what you've got. To really stay ahead of the curve from a mobile-friendly test and a page speed test, you really need to probably be updating your website no less than every 2 years. And a lot of it's not just about the way it looks, it's about the way it's structured in the background is super important. Here's another one. This is, so for you, those of you that don't know, W3C is the organization, the worldwide organization that actually comes up with the standards for building websites, HTML, CSS style sheets, etc. And so you can actually run this to see if you have any HTML errors. We'll do Acasa again, just to be consistent. Again, you guys can see like none of these are costing money. There's nothing. You can actually go in here and again, just grab all of these and send them to your web company. You don't need to understand them. And when they're done, just run it again and they should be gone. This one right here I think is super important. I know some of you are aware of it, some of you may not be, but this is ADA and 508 compliance. And this one's big because if your website is not compliant, there's all of these trolls out there, lawyers, as being funny. I love lawyers. There's all these companies out there that just go and run this against your website. They've never stayed with you. They've never done business with you. And
Hey, Amber,
yeah.
let's kill your webcam, and it'll increase the bandwidth a little bit on this, but also I
Okay.
think it'll make your screen bigger so we can see, so we can read some of this, if you don't mind.
Yep. Is that better?
We'll bring it back up for Q&A. Yes, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And thanks, Beth. Right.
And so this is and you guys, I'll send you the presentation that has all of these links. This is a free tool that can evaluate your website for ADA compliance. It is very powerful, and it can show you all the issues and errors, contrast errors, or issues you might have that you also need to give your web company, because you can get sued even if you've never done business with somebody for discrimination if your website is not ADA friendly. So these are things that you could be doing right now. It doesn't take that much of your time. You just email it over to your web company and you get it going. And then this part is really something that I know is probably in the back of your mind, but we should talk about, but it's content relevancy. Almost all of us have local guides on our websites with a ton of information that we've curated. How many of these businesses are still going to be in business or open back up? Really taking some time to look through your local info guide and update that information right now. Are people only doing delivery? Do they have a new online ordering link that you should be linking to? Are some people out of business and you need to remove it? All of that information needs to get updated right now before we hit the ground running and we're too busy to do it later. I've been to several websites in the last week that have a ton of outdated information. And we'll go over this second bullet a little bit more in a few minutes, but where can guests find your cleaning policies and procedures? This is something I've been listening to some recorded calls for different clients, and guests, first and foremost, when they talk to you, they're asking about what's your cancellation policy, and tell me about how you clean the homes. Are you using the right kind of products? You know, what are your policies? I know that there have been lots of webinars and speakers that are talking about best practices moving forward. Right now, I went to about a dozen websites last night. I couldn't find this on anyone's website, not one. And so this is a huge opportunity for you to get that content in there, and we'll talk about it. Again, reviews are huge. You really need to show them. So for those of you that aren't showing reviews directly on your own website, work with your web company, get the reviews up there, make sure that your website is the trusted place for people to book. Any questions, Amy, before we go on to the next topic? I know I can talk pretty fast as an Italian, so I apologize.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. No, not yet. I think it is being, yes, this is being recorded. Yes, we're going to have her slides with that on her video page. Also, I want to tell everyone really quickly before I forget, if you click on the presenters and look at Amber, you'll see the sessions that she's done. And if you did not come to VRM Intel Live in Destin or Gatlinburg and see the Google presentation, definitely watch that. I know with all of this going on, it's easy to forget that Google is coming into the scene pretty quickly. And I mean, I guess we'll see what happens, you know, how Google reacts during this crisis, if they're still moving forward with a lot of the things that they've been working towards. But you definitely need to watch that presentation. And that's the last thing I'm going to say. I'm muting myself again.
All right, I am going to give a little bit of an update on it in another slide. So I agree, nothing's changed from what I said in the other VRM Intel Lives about it, but I do have some other news for you guys in that space. On communicating, I know that we are all tired. We're homeschooling our kids. We're chasing toilet paper around town. It's not the best place to be emotionally to try to be creative and have fun right now, but that is a huge opportunity because most people aren't doing it. Unfortunately, the majority that I've seen are saying nothing, and that is the most painful. People want authenticity, so be authentic, tell them the truth. Tell them, no one needs perfection. If you go on Facebook Live and want to talk to your potential guests or prospects or people that love your destination, you don't need to have professional production crews. They actually just want to talk to you and hear directly from you. this is a great time to do things like that. And I have some more ideas I'm sharing with you guys in another slide. Also, remember, people have been in their homes for at least a month. Those of us on the West Coast, it's been 7 or 8 weeks that we've been sheltering in place. So all of us, the moment this gets lifted, people are going to travel. I can't tell you how many texts I've already personally had from friends this morning trying to plan vacations in June or July because everyone needs something to dream about. And remember, we have the product for the COVID-19 recovery, so be confident. People are not going to want to fly immediately. That'll take some time. People are not going to want to be in a hotel, you know, right next to somebody. They're not going to want to have to be forced to eat out constantly. So that message that we have the perfect product for sheltering in place or really having privacy is going to be so key as we move forward. So here's where I get kind of fun and hands-on. Engage the kids. We all know that kids are a huge part of vacation planning. And so, you know, depending on who your demographic is, this doesn't even have to be just for kids, but send out an email and offer an art contest. Ask the kids to draw their favorite vacation memory. I could go crazy with this as a marketer, but get the kids, the parents are already losing their minds because these kids are all home. You can go to a website like this. There's several of these, but Viral Sweep. And the parent lets the kid do the art, and then you can collect it as an image, and you can have voting, you can moderate it. This is an entire engagement strategy to really get personal and fun without you having to push, you know, book now. You're starting that emotional connection with vacation, getting the kids engaged. They're going to bug their parents, when do we get to go there? You can do so much with this artwork that these kids create. You could print it and put it in your office. So many different things. Again, parents are dying for help to keep their kids occupied. So a video contest, ask them to do a video of their kids telling them their vacation wish list right after this shelter in place is lifted. Those videos would be hilarious. I bet some of them would go viral. So again, really stop, we're always so focused on, you know, driving to the booking page, driving a conversion. But right now, it's about engaging and having an emotional connection with people. People plan their accommodation, then, you know, how they're going to get there, then their food. It's like the next thing that comes to mind for them. You know, all of us are in the same boat. So talk to your local chefs. We all know who the local, you know, dives are that are the family favorites, that are the tourist favorites, or the local favorites that no one wants to tell the tourists about. You know, work with them to get recipes and a picture of that dish, and ask your, you know, send it out via an email and social media, and ask, you know, them to take pictures of their edible masterpieces. Get them engaged with those things that are their favorite. Like you know, you go on vacation and you're like, oh, I can't wait to have that mimosa at such and such place. Or, oh my God, the Bloody Marys up in Nashville are amazing, and the fried chicken, right? So these are things that get people's attention and that they really will engage with right now, because you're giving them something to do that's really relevant at home and a way to make that an interaction with you. Same thing with local bands that everyone loves. They're out of work too. Get them to do a live virtual concert on your Facebook page. I provide a link here to show you guys how to do that. You can live stream an event on Facebook. So whether this is just you talking, or you do something with a band, or you go stand out on the beach or up on a mountain, whatever it is that's relevant to your destination. But live streaming something, you know, a band is a great idea. It's going to get a ton of views, and people are going to really want to do that. But how to do this to a page, you can also do it to a group, etc. So bring that vacation experience to them, right? That's what all of these ideas are about. Same thing with, you know, do you have any relationships with local artists? Have them do a live art class on your Facebook page. You can do one at night with adults and a cocktail recipe. You can do one during the day to help parents keep kids, you know, engaged in something. This is all incredible content that you could be curating without a ton of effort on your part, but it really is engaging. And then again, we also have our homeowners to deal with. And I'll tell you, this idea has worked so well. I've done this with a couple different brands, but hosting a live happy hour weekly or bi-weekly with your owners using a product like GoToWebinar or Zoom, you know, we tell them to bring their favorite beverage, send them a cocktail recipe, and have real conversations. Everybody was afraid when we first started doing this that we'd get, you know, it would just go off the walls. They'd say things we were uncomfortable with. And it didn't happen. And in fact, when we started to go bi-weekly, we had owners tell us that it's like their favorite thing that they look forward to every week. And it's made us a lot closer to the point where we've decided that we're going to do them once a month, even after all of this is over. So again, none of this is rocket science, but I really wanted to leave you guys with things that, like, this is what you could be doing right now to be communicating when you can't really say, go book this home. I guarantee you this will bring you lots of bookings. It just might not have a last click attribution. All right, here's the 12 amps. And what do we do and in what order? This is a great time, and you guys, I'm a huge book direct person, but I also believe that you should have a diversified marketing strategy, and part of that is having the right channel management strategy. And so this is a good time if you've never had great production from your channel manager, or you feel like you're paying too much. Are your listings optimized on each channel? Do you even know? Talk to your market manager with Expedia, Booking.com, Airbnb. Find this out, because this is a great time to swap your channel manager if you're not with the right one, or consolidate them if you have too many of them. It doesn't matter right now if your listings get paused for a couple of days while you remap things. This opportunity, thank God, will probably never happen again in our lifetimes, to be able to not lose bookings if your listings go through a transition. So this is a good time to really ask yourself that. Are you with a channel manager that allows you to add margins to your rates through your integration partner so that you're not paying that channel partner commission, right? Do your listings update live, or do they only sync once a day? Do you even know? These are questions you should be asking. You might have been making assumptions that they update more often than they really do. And again, this is the time to make a change. Are you on all the right channels? And guys, like, I think that there are several really good channel managers in our space, but I do think that Rentals United has this really cool channelizer that lets you go through this process to find out which websites are the best for you, and where you could be. And I think this is something that is really valuable for you to run right now. I think the more channels and diversification that you have, the better, especially if you can manage it all from one place. Even if you don't use Rentals United, it gives you ideas of more places that you could be marketing on. And then, who's the merchant of record? And I know this is probably a painful and controversial conversation right now, but do you want to be with a channel manager who's the merchant of record? Or should you make the change right now, even though it's some work? Like I said, it's a very opportune time to do it, to where you stay the merchant of record on as many channels as you possibly can. We all know what a nightmare it has been for all of us with Airbnb and the crap that they have pulled. So, you know, and Amy, I don't know if you want to say anything about this, but to me, this is a big deal of, you know, trusting who your channel manager is, not just for right now or when things are good, but for the long term. There are definitely some that seem to be disappearing during this time.
Yeah, I just really feel like, again, and I've said this a couple of times on this webinar, I mean, on these, during this time, is that if you were working with a channel manager who is merchant of record and they are already behind on payments to you, strongly consider stopping the bleeding like now. There's no reason to continue to let this channel book dates for you that they're not going to be able to pay you on.
Right, and they also have the upper hand when it comes to cancellations and how that all gets processed. When you're the merchant of record, you own that conversation with the guest and making sure you have control of that. And I just think that the less we have between us and the guest is best, whether it's during COVID-19 or not. And so that's something I feel pretty strongly about. And I know there's probably been tons of conversations about it. This is where I'm going to update you guys. Sorry, did the wrong thing here. So as part of the VRM Intel Live process, and even the article that I wrote for Amy, I think it was two issues ago, Amy, about Google Travel, or was it one? I can't even remember anymore.
Yeah, it was just one. It was winter. I know it
It
feels
was-
like a lifetime ago.
It does feel like forever ago. So I did an experiment because everybody said that they were a partner of Google Travel, but then when you talk to all the different channel managers and said, great, sign me up, get me live, because you can go to their website and they say that they're a Google Travel partner, all of them, except for one, told me they actually couldn't get listings live. And the only one that told me they could get listings live was Rentals United. And so I did the experiment, and I have to move the date out here for it to show up because Palm Springs banned vacation rentals through June 19th. A little aggressive, we all think, but I'm happy to say I did finally get live on Google Travel. So you can see this says Rentals United, but actually the way that their platform works, this is actually an Acme House Company listing. Rentals United is just the go-between for us, the integration partner. And when you go to book, all of this is, they use their own website because they're so strict about, like Rentals United created this page as an intermediary because Google Travel is so strict. But this booking comes directly into our software, and there's no commission on it right now. There's no pay-per-click, there's no commission. And as you can imagine, it's going to be very high traffic because if you saw that experience, when you do any version of destination and vacation rentals, you get this new module now, and our rentals are going to be showing up directly instead of VRBO or Airbnb getting that traffic. So I can say it was more work than Rentals United told me it was going to be. It took us about 45 days to get it all done, but it did happen. And so if this is something you're interested in, happy to give you more information after the webinar on how this went. But it's possible. It did work. And I know that other channel managers are still working on it, but to my knowledge, none of them can still get anyone live other than Rentals United. So just did want to circle back on that because it literally finally went live last week. Okay. All right, so kind of finished out channel management. So I get that squared away, and mostly it's not because it's more important than your direct marketing, it's that this is that opportune time for your listings to be wonky during a change or even paused or non-existent. Whereas in any other time, that transition always costs you money in bookings. So really think about this channel management strategy right now. Secondly, I've talked to several people who think that, yes, your pay-per-click is paused right now, you've stopped the bleeding, you're saving all your amps so that you can turn it back on later. But what I want you to understand is you can't simply turn your ads back on. That is not a good strategy. You can do that. But what worked pre-COVID is not going to be what works post-COVID, and you probably don't have the same dollars to just do experiments with. And so drive markets are going to come back faster than fly markets. So you really need to do a geographic segmentation of your ads and make sure you have different campaigns for different drive markets so that you can track who's starting to travel and spend your money in that market before you just start wasting money on people who aren't going to, they're clicking and maybe they're researching, but they're not going to come anytime soon because it's from a fly market. Again, you need new ad copy. All of our messaging needs to change to promote flexible cancellation policies, cleaning best practices, etc. Just talking about the beautiful beach or the beautiful mountain is not going to be enough. So take the time to redo your ad copy, get those ads built and through the approval process with Google so that you can turn them on as soon as you're ready. You don't want to be doing this work when people are already starting to do inquiries and travel because it could take several days to get everything approved. So this is a good time to start working on it. Again, display ads, same thing. Change that messaging and artwork right now, get them through the approval process so that they're ready to go. I would not recommend turning on remarketing ads anytime soon. I would wait at least 30 days. You can have the lists rebuilding and regenerating, but I would not spend money on remarketing until at least 30 days after travel starts again. Otherwise, it's going to remarket to people who are looking for your COVID cancellation policies, etc. People that aren't traveling anymore, people that were looking to cancel. The remarketing lists that you had pre-COVID or during COVID are not going to be useful. So give yourself a 30-day window there. And sorry, I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit. Direct booking strategy. Amy and I have forever been fervent supporters of this. And like I said, I believe in channel management. I believe in diversification. But there's never been a better time to get serious about your booking strategy, your direct booking strategy. So where do you have your best rates? They should be on your website. The best cancellation policy, your website. I can't tell you how many people I've checked and audited websites where you have a stricter cancellation policy on your own website, but you took the most flexible policy on Airbnb to get better rankings. That doesn't make any sense. Your website should be the best and easiest place to do business. So the most up-to-date information. So whether or not it's your cleaning policies or where delivery can be done for groceries, that should be your website. The most validated reviews, again, your website. They shouldn't have to be able to trust staying with you. It shouldn't be easier to do that on Airbnb because they show reviews and you don't. Again, the most information about choosing to stay with you on your own website. So we kind of talked about this in an earlier slide, but I wanted to walk you guys through, and I love Southern Resorts, by the way. So I'm just going to walk you guys through a booking process to kind of show you what I meant about I'm a guest. It's post-COVID. They've finally lifted all the rules. I want to come stay. I'm coming down with my family because I haven't seen them in forever. So I'm going to check availability. And as I go through this process, I'm just going to pick any house here. I'm most concerned about what's your cancellation policy and what's your cleaning policy. As I'm going through the website, and by the way, this is the same on any website. I'm not picking on Southern Resorts. Love them to death. How do I'm like scrolling down. Okay, let's see more information. Great. This is all great. I love the property. I've fallen in love with it. I still don't know what your cancellation policy is, and I still don't know how you clean your homes. Let me see if in the booking process I find that out. Okay, I'd have to give you all my information. Looking for these things. Okay. I can add travel insurance, which I'm not going to get into that in this webinar, but in this instance, this is a good thing. I'll tell you most websites do this. This doesn't even tell me what this travel insurance protects. Like I can't tell what is covered. I can't see your cancellation policy in conjunction to this. I don't even know what I would be adding insurance for or what it would do for me. If you guys can tell, there's no link here. There's no extra information. I can just check yes or no. So you click no and you say, oh, it's at risk. I want to do this. I get reimbursed. If you cancel your trip due to tropical storms, hurricanes, covered illness, injury, job layoff, and more. Here's the thing. A lot of people don't trust their travel insurance anymore. So rethink this content. Find out if this is even relevant anymore. And if it's not going to cover it for things like what we just went through, just say that. Again, I can't see that cleaning policy. The only way I can find out the cancellation policy is to scroll through a ton of information. This is something you need to do and go through your website with the lens of a traveler. There's actually, in that entire booking process, I did not answer the two most important questions of what's your cleaning policy and what's your cancellation policy. Does that make sense, Amy, or was that confusing the way I displayed it?
No, it's not confusing. I do think the travel insurance is interesting right now, and I'm surprised there's not a click to any information here. But I agree with you. Travel insurance is a pretty decent line item of revenue for a lot of people. And there's a real trust factor with travel insurance because it didn't kick in for a lot of people's stays during, for this particular situation. So I do think if selling travel insurance is a big revenue item for a company, and this is definitely something to pay attention to. And I never even thought about trying to put cleaning information on this page. So
yeah, and not hiding your cancellation policy in this long drawn out page or the scroll. So two things. One, if it is a big line item for your company or revenue opportunity, doing it like this, you actually don't tell someone why they should have insurance until they tell you no. Like I have no idea why I would want this till I say no. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think too, like thinking through some of the photos. I mean, you like a photo of even a turned down bed if you have professional white linens or,
Yep.
Anyway, this is really interesting, Amber. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, in best practice moving forward, in the way I'm working with my clients to redesign some of their pages, I'm working on these designs now. There will be a tab up here that says cleaning and cancellation. Like if you want to know how cleaning happens and cancellations happen, it will be front and center so that you don't have to dig for it on the property page. I don't even want people to have to go to the Book Now page to find that information. So like, I'll be honest, guys, like we all know the joke, like bedding hardly ever gets washed, right? Like we wash sheets every time, but we all flick the decorative pillows as far as we can off that bed when we check in, because we know it ours gets clean. You need to address that for your guests and think about how you're going to deal with that. Because for me as a consumer, but also just as a professional, I know that that's top of mind for people.
Yeah,
All right.
someone just mentioned, wrote in a comment, how about real pictures of the cleaners cleaning with masks and gloves?
Actually, that's a really good point. So every single day is Book Direct Day. We do not need to wait for once a year. I think it's great that we have the day that we've drawn in the sand from a public relations standpoint, but it's not the only time of year you should be thinking about it. And I've actually only said this once, and it was at the women's conference. But you need to make your why really personal. Why should people book with you? If you go and put Book Direct Vacation Rentals in a search form, this is the website that comes up first. So great job on SEO. But when I get here, this is not why people should book directly with you. Like, it's not personal. It's too much text to read. This should be a page that has pictures of your staff. Book direct because you're going to check in with Susan and you booked with Susan on the phone. Remember, she knows your kids' names. She knows why you're coming on vacation. If you have a problem, she's going to help you. Make this page personal about you, your staff. Yes, talk about the fact that it costs you less money, but it's more convenient. And this is a great time to say, and if you have a problem, you need to cancel. Take the learnings from COVID-19. The guests who had the best experience are the ones who booked directly with us because we could manage the conversation, proactively reach out to them. They were giving their money to somebody who could actually contact them and help them. So really take a look at your Book Direct page, and it shouldn't be this much text. It could even be a video of the owner talking about how this company has been in the family for 30 years and it's personal service. And show pictures of your staff and how long they've worked for you. That's what we are all great at in this business, and we don't tell that story enough. So again, really thinking about this information and personalizing it. I've actually not seen a ton of companies, most Book Direct pages or reasons are on pages like this with this much copy. If we go back to that Southern Resorts page, why isn't it here? Why don't I see the Book Direct reasons here? Right? Like, think about it. People make their buying decisions on your property details page. For those of you that do any kind of shopping cart abandonment, if you don't have property page abandonment, you're losing 90% of your abandons happen before they ever get to your Book Now page. So this is actually the critical page for some of that information to exist on. All right, email marketing strategy update. So your drip campaigns, again, I know I feel like I'm a little bit of a broken record, but instead of it just being about promotions, you haven't booked with us yet, I'll give you 10% off. Reiterate the cleaning, the reviews, the cancellation policy. Those are things that are going to inhibit travelers or to make them take longer to make a buying decision after COVID-19. Talk to them about your delivery options in the destination. Have a conversation in these drip campaigns about, we can have delivery of your groceries before you ever arrive, those kinds of items in those drip campaigns to drive conversion. In your ad hoc email campaigns, keep it fun for a while. Trust will trump flashy rates. So it's not going to just be about discounts after this. It's going to be about, do I trust giving you my money? So many people are going to have trust issues with different businesses. You know, do you offer payment plans? Things like that. Don't kill their inbox. As a consumer, I am begging everyone to not add to the email hell that has been the COVID-19 shelter in place, of waking up to 6,500 emails from retailers about shoes none of us can wear anywhere right now. So I just really be thoughtful. You want to communicate, you can send a weekly email, but the daily thing, or if you have nothing interesting to say, don't send anything. People are craving engagement and interaction. Use video clips, GIFs in your emails. Do something that gets them to interact with you and be real. Really talk to people. They want straight talk, not marketing speak. And this is one of the last pieces, but loyalty programs. So for all of your guests that rebooked instead of canceling, I would highly recommend doing something special. Creating a special promo code for them to use at any time in the future, not just next year. And I would handwrite thank you notes to each of those guests. I know it sounds terrifying. You could have a note card that has most of the content, and then you just write one line in your name. But doing something personal like that is really key. And then collaborate with the other local businesses, those chefs, the artists. Could you do something that is really destination based for those guests who are loyal to you and offered to rebook instead of taking their money out of the destination? Things you should think about, and we'll get to a question section right now, but things you should think about with loyalty is, I'm not sure that lifetime value of a guest, so how much money they've ever spent with you, is really the metric I'd use from a loyalty perspective moving forward. I would think about things like, what channel did they book on? How many times they've come? Did they cancel on you and were they jerks during COVID-19, or did they rebook? I think it's a time to rethink what that algorithm is that equals loyalty in our space. So that was it for me today, but I'd love to answer any questions anyone has.
So I'm reading through some of these, and honestly, if you want to ask your question to her personally, you can raise your hand. There's a little raise your hand icon in your GoToMeeting. And I see, Heather, I'm going to try to unmute you and see if you can ask this question, but I'm not sure you're going to be able to. Let's see, I'll try it. Oops, hang on. Heather, are you there? Her computer and my audio might not be on. So I had a question. What's your opinion of a call center being a call to action? When is a call center the right time to be the call to action?
So do you mean like to tell guests to call to book instead of book online?
That's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think that honestly, the goal is to get people to book the best way possible, and what is comfortable for them. And so if you don't answer all their questions on your website, you should not hide your phone number. You should make it as easy as possible to get people to answer their questions answered. So whether it's online chat or call now, you should make that super easy to find. And from a mobile perspective, make sure that that phone number is click to call. So I'm a huge proponent of call centers have a much higher conversion rate than your website. So if you feel like there's so many unknowns right now, putting that phone number even through the booking process instead of hiding it is a good thing.
Let's turn our webcams back on.
Okay.
We'll do a request. Hey. Hey.
Hey.
So, big shout out to Rocky's Rentals in their theater room doing their conference thing today. And by the way, for future virtual conferences, what a great idea. Get one of your houses is vacant, use the theater room and set up your own conference with restaurant delivery and all the things that are available now. I think one of the things that you mentioned about the highlighting what's in your area today that's different. We never had restaurant delivery, curbside pickup and stuff like that for like the key restaurants in our destinations before. We were pretty much, if you wanted delivery, you ordered pizza. Maybe one China Dragon in town, like we didn't have Grubhub in Gulf Shores, So this is kind of new, I think, about some of the things that are available now that are super interesting. Grocery delivery is something everyone's really accustomed to now. And so highlighting that you do.
Yeah.
Say that again.
They'll just leave it at the door. So if you're even not, you don't have to be waiting at home all day for the groceries. They can just get left at the door. I mean, depending on what you order, at least out here, that you can even leave a cooler out and they'll put it in the cooler and walk away. So I think it's really changed that dynamic. And whoever, content is always going to be king. And so whoever updates their content makes it super relevant and gets that ready before people start researching their post-COVID-19 travel are going to be ahead of the curve.
Someone had a comment, just a thought, having an online conference for your guests, which is super interesting. You do one with the homeowners at Acme, is that correct?
Yes, and that's kind of what I was getting at with the Facebook Live. You could do it as a webinar and show people, like, walk them to the beach or show them something you're cooking or get an artist in the room. You can do all of those things, or even just having a candid conversation and ask them, how are you doing? People want to talk right now and interact, and they are bored out of their minds. So all of those things, I guarantee you will be surprised how hungry people are for that interaction.
There was one thing, and I know you're working on something. I don't know if you're really ready to talk about it and put you on the spot. You and I have discussed a long time that when people go to look, it's like what we don't know right now are which property types are going to come back first. There's a lot of speculation that people are going to want to come and stay in big houses and spread out. And then there's speculation that you won't see multi-generational travel, and it's going to be parents leaving their kids with someone else and coming alone, leaving their kids at home, or they're all kind, and there'll be 1 and 2 bedroom condos. So it's interesting to me, the speculation on property types. But there's a way to really know that, right?
There is. And what Amy's getting at, you didn't warn me, Amy. This will be free, you guys, but I'm probably 2 weeks out. But there's a way for us to use your Google Analytics code to grab the queries that start when demand picks up. We can give you a snippet of code that you put on your website. I'm not charging for it. It's kind of going to be my gift, at least for a long time, to the industry. I'm working with my old business partner. He's just building it for me. But it's going to give you data, and we're doing it as fast as we can. But it's going to give you data on, as people start to come back to your website, what dates are they searching? What product types are they searching? What individual house? What amenities? Really, all of that query data that none of us get to see. So instead of just knowing you had a search, really telling you what that information is, that's true demand, so that you can then marry that up with your conversion data of what gets booked to see where those opportunities are. What's cool about it is you'll even be able to tell things like, are certain demographics or geographies, is Atlanta looking for condos, but Texas is looking for homes? I honestly think we're going to have a mix of everything you just mentioned, Amy, because people miss their family and their friends. So I can see a ton of that group travel happening as soon as this is lifted. We all are just missing each other, right? I also know with 5 kids that as soon as I book my family vacation, I'm booking 3 couples vacations to go with it to get away from my children. Like, I love them, but I need a break. And so I think people are going to find ways to book multiple experiences as quickly as they can afford it and take the time to do it. And the other thing is that the number of companies who are going to get rid of their office space because they've now found out their fears of virtual workplaces is non-existent. I think people are going to have more time to travel because kids aren't going back to school and people are working remotely now more than ever. And I bet the amount that go back in the office is a lot fewer than anyone thinks.
Yeah, I think even the CVB brought that up in the last session that we had with them, that they expect some interesting changes in demographics of their normal family vacation. I live on a golf course, and I've got to say, golf is back. Like I how we've been watching the golf, stats for a while as far as golf travel, but there are people getting their practice time in as we speak, at least on the 7th tee. And
it's like one of the last things you can do, right? Like, it's an activity you legally do right now. people are like, oh, go hit a, like people who make fun of golf are like, I can hit a ball on grass. That's fine.
All day, every day. So I think that's kind of interesting. They also brought up the girlfriend getaway trips, that they're getting a lot of inquiries for those, to your point about people missing each other. You mentioned the content and writing different things in an authentic way, and really spotlighting, you know, your personality and your tone, and not in a salesy, like, we're excited to announce, you know, we're the leading blah 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 in blah blah blah, you know. But one thing that people are starting to do right now is rewrite their property descriptions. Are there any tips or tricks or anything that you have in actually writing property descriptions right now for this new world?
Yeah, you know, I think it's interesting. Things that were important even 5 years ago are less important now. So I think when you're writing your property descriptions, thinking through that lens of your guest, and they want to know, can I hook up, can I get to my Hulu subscription? Because I always watch my favorite show when I fall asleep. So it's not just that there's a TV, but does it have a smart device for them to attach their account to? Things like Wi-Fi have never been more important. So like highlighting the rooms with the best connections, things like that. If there are, you know, certain things about the way you clean or the bedding or the mattress covers, things that maybe you hesitated to say before, I'd bring up. Whether or not, you know, the proximity to the bathrooms have always been important, but talking about whether it's a private bathroom or not, whether if that bedroom probably is going to share a bathroom. I really think people just want a walkthrough and of what's happening in that property, and they want you to be honest. They don't want to hear the fluffy, I hate to say it, marketing PR-esque tone. They want to be like, hey, owner just updated all of this furniture and this bedding. This couch is brand new as of 2020, right? Like, they want specifics. They want as much information. We are all information hungry, so being super specific. When was the bedding updated last? Is it all new comforters? People are going to care about those things more now than ever.
Another question. It looks like, let me interpret this. Never mind. We'll skip that one. It was ugly. It was about another company, not about you. I think that, well, no, I am. There is a website provider out there that is not giving a lot of support right now, and it looks like they may actually not be renewing support on there, even though. So there's a lot of discussion about a website company actually closing down. That's a fairly large one in the industry. If you can't get support on the site right now, what should you do?
Just like changing your channel manager, there's never a better time to go change your website provider. And look, guys, there's no one better. I've been in this situation of having built a company I loved, and Amy knows more than anyone. I lived and breathed Travel Storm. I sold it, and then I had no control to save it. So, you know, I know exactly, you know, I don't need to mention the company, but the best thing you can do in a situation like this is not wait till the site is just down. Be proactive, move your website, start interviewing new providers. If you guys need any help, I can point you in some directions after the call personally. There are website providers that can probably get you up and running. And guys, again, it's not a tragedy, it's an opportunity, because you want to come out swinging and look strong. Launch after COVID-19 with a brand new website. You're going to wow your guests and your homeowners. So that is not the worst position to be in right now.
As far as feeder market advertising, this goes back to old school stuff. There was a time that we actually did a lot of feeder market advertising. Do you have any tips on so if we are looking at drive to, we're not looking at spending a huge amount of money to reach markets that are not coming to us, right? I mean, so how do we target this? Yeah, exactly. We have 12 amps. So in Alabama, we don't have Oregon amps.
Right. So honestly, I think postcards will be huge. I would go do one of those contests with the kids to do the art, and I'd end up having an entire series of post-COVID-19 postcards that were all designed by kids. I mean, talk about a really incredible campaign where your postcards are super personal. That family gets so excited because their kid's art was chosen. You could even do an adult series of that. I would absolutely go old school and do direct marketing and make it personal. Personal is personal, trust, and authentic. I can't say those words enough.
I mean, I'm gonna say VRM Intel was built on direct mail, so I mean, like I'm a believer in print, and I don't think it's dead. And right now, it's super cheap. It's really cheap.
And associations. I'd go to the school districts in your main drive markets and say, here's a promo code for all your teachers. We want to thank them for their service. And really like doing anything you can with those relationships and associations, first responders code, teachers code. Like think about that, a code for, you know, doctors and nurses. You know, in the past, those were always the people we wouldn't discount because they made the most money. Like think about it, it's not just about a AAA discount anymore. Really cultivating those things right now and getting those programs ready would be key.
In the old school feeder market advertising, we used to work with schools, we used to work with private clubs, junior leagues, Rotary clubs, the churches, any place where you could get in and, you know, kind of get in front of a group of people that was in your personal demographic. As far as, you know, the kind of, because like people go to like places, right? I mean, like, so it's like people do follow the leader. And so if Houston is one of your largest feeder markets, then Houston's fairly reachable.
No, for sure. And I mean, think about it. Like I said, if you can get outside of your fear and frustrations right now, do a heroes campaign. Send out an email and say, ask your kids if they think you're a hero and we want to see their story. Have the kids talk about their parents being their hero, even if it's just a mom who's now homeschooling 2 kids. Like, get that content and that conversation going because everybody needs a break after this. Like, it's ironic that we've all been sitting at home and we're all exhausted. Like, we need a mental break. And so getting those hero stories, really celebrating people. I would, you know, with magazines, I would get if you have the money to get a PR agency, there's one in our space that's amazing called Wagstaff. There's a bunch of other ones around that I would recommend. If you can get stories, not ads, but stories, it's huge.
Are you seeing any virtual touring or any kind of YouTube videoing of the destination at this time? I mean, I've been watching some virtual travel things on social media. I posted one the other day on my Facebook, if you're friends with me, on Peru. You know, just like this whole idea of dreaming about your vacation. Are you seeing anybody using that yet?
Oh, absolutely. And I don't know if any of you guys watch like Rachel Ray on Food Network. Take a tip from her. She's actually doing her show from her kitchen. She's a disaster. Nobody's chopping her vegetables for her, but she is so real. Just get real with people. Show them like what's happening. Walk the beach with them and tell them like, I got my PPP loan, but I'm not sure I'll make it. But guys, I want to host your vacation. Like having those real conversations live are huge.
I think that you had an earlier idea on the local recipes that I think is really brilliant. I mean, like, if anyone wants to post of how to make a bushwhacker, I will actually take advantage of that tonight after this. Also, anything that's local to the area, whether it's cheese making or wine or anything that people can't do and can even dream about and experience, I think that it's really valuable right now. I agree with you that it's about engagement right now. We know that people can't travel right now.
If you are known for coffee, go to the coffee place and interview the coffee guy and say how he gets his beans and how they're roasted. Have those engaging moments. People are super interested.
And they also want to know how that guy's doing.
Yeah, they do.
Throughout all of this. I think that's all super smart. I mean, it's a lot of creativity on this. Google, let's go back to that really quickly. So just business wise, a lot of their revenue comes from Booking and Expedia. They lost a lot of revenue in this. Will they still go forward to try to capture this vacation rental spot, or will they try to back off of it to regain PPC money, AdWords money, you know, any kind of that revenue that they've lost from Expedia and Booking?
It's all an assumption, right? Like this is my prediction. Basically, they're going to move forward with it, but they're going to monetize it as pay-per-click very quickly. It will not be free much longer.
Donna wrote in challenges. We have shelter in place, which means we have to shelter away from our vacation rental and cannot travel to it legally. Thoughts on how we could do this? I would say if you can get a local chef on the phone, for instance, and do something like this. I mean, this wasn't overly, I mean, this, you know, whether it's a Zoom meeting or a GoToWebinar or something like that, you can talk to people this way.
Yeah, I would do this. You don't have to physically be with anybody to get this done. You can do a live show like this, and I could be cooking or doing art right now, and you become the moderator.
Jason, the answer for you is no. I'll leave it at that. That's just a no.
What did Jason ask?
I'll tell you later. All right. Well, if there are no more questions, then Amber, I still want to re-record Google when we get back on this, and
Yeah.
But that session is there, and really appreciate you doing this. This was really it's nice to get inspired in marketing again after all of this. It hasn't been much fun on our side of the fence, so really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys.
Our next one coming up is and we're back in marketing too. We're with Vanessa. So, and then past that, we have 2 data presentations. One is with Jennifer and Jim and Jesse talking about revenue management and what key performance indicators to look for to know when to pull what triggers on pricing. And then Scott from AirDNA is going to show us the latest market data and talk about discounting and things like that. So anyway, thank you. Appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
All right, bye-bye.